What we need to do today is just open up the sea can and try and move the boxes as quick as we can into the non-storage freezer.
It's a cool, crisp start to the day.
Everything is labelled according to the site the cores came from.
Perfect conditions
I'm Martin Sharp.
for this guy.
I'm a professor in the Department of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at the University of Alberta.
He's used to being cold, very cold.
Potentially a source of nutrients, and then the bugs will colonize it. I study glaciers in the Canadian Arctic. Sea can here is a freezer sea can, and it contains the entire Canadian National Ice Core collections. They've just been transferred from the Government of Canada to the University of Alberta.
Today, Martin needs to move this priceless stash of ice into its new home.
Can we do through it once? Yeah, we can do it. Okay.
Not exactly the kind of job you trust to a bunch of college pals and pay off in cold ones. No, this is a high-stakes relocation.
The ice needs to stay frozen because as soon as we get water in the system, water will start to leach the dissolved material in the ice. They've been in a freezer for a long time, so it's always possible if you drop them at a bad angle, you could end up with the box splitting or something and spilling. If we don't do this carefully, we might introduce contamination to the cores from the environment that we're moving them through.
These frozen time capsules are irreplaceable.
They were collected from ice caps over a period going back into the 1970s, and nowadays to drill an equivalent core to the bottom of one of those ice caps would probably cost something on the order of $150,000. The oldest ice in the collection is probably around 80,000 years old and would have been part of the last great ice sheet that covered North America 20,000 years ago or so. That's totally unique. There are really great opportunities to try to understand that part of our climate history when Canada was largely covered in ice. Each core is a 1 meter core, so we're talking somewhat over 1,000 cores. So I guess if you laid that out, that's 2.5 times around a running track.
The movers have a short distance to travel, but face one big obstacle.
The downside is that this is an active academic building. There are classes in here starting on the hour, every hour.
The ice collection has already survived a risky 3-day trek across Canada, traveling more than 3,400 kilometers. Now safely in Edmonton, the ice core samples will be properly stored in their new permanent home.
So we're just unloading the core boxes, and we're trying to identify which box comes from which ice core,
which will be kept well below zero.
So that the colder they are, even if we have a freezer failure, the longer it's going to take before melting becomes a risk.
Martin's like a kid at Christmas, anxious to find out what's inside each and every box.
This one's from Mount Logan, highest mountain in Canada, and this one's from Ellesmere Island. I guess the boxes with broken bottoms you only discover when you lift them. There are a few boxes that have obviously been used multiple times for different places. So this is the very last box. No breakages, no drops. So this section of core here is actually the deepest core from the penny ice cap. That would make this ice about 80,000 years old, which may be some of the oldest ice to be found anywhere in Canada. Only 20 years ago, nobody believed that there was life in and under glaciers, and we now know that it's actually quite widespread. It might be feasible to find evidence of microbes in this ice.
The best part is yet to come, revealing the mysteries that are still hidden in this treasure trove.
So, job done. Got the cores across the country safely, and now they're in their new home. Time to get down to some work on them.